So, any somalo tashidele.
Just say, Tashidele, welcome to everyone.
Younger majority. Any sunju harzuruda. Harze chozo nana ani nara. Jaya chuna kewa zangwa chuzo.
So, can everybody hear us?
Yes. That's interesting, but that's just. Oh, yeah, that's all.
She said, quite small, so we're going to need to make some adjustments. I'm just very honored to be invited to speak to this sangha. I think this talk is about fearless wisdom and fearless compassion. Is that right? Oh.
That's all. That's a chewy. That's a grown number to set already. And catch a chimbo in Bada.
So, for sharing the dharma and discussing the dharma, or really for any activity for that matter, developing a very pure intention, very pure motivation is a very essential prerequisite.
That's a number Sanji Begi. Rangi some Tawainada, and that's a Chushi Chivainada, Molo, Sinjan Tanjini, and they got the Tatula Pindi, Shiti Yandi, Chani Chanjuki Sim, Yantabi, Tawan, the Jura Jashu, Te Chedala, and that's a drawing chigi, home to chigi, Chene, no number towards Chivaina, which ever shoots yesterday.
And so, to form this motivation, might need some help with this microphone stand. To form this motivation, raise it up a little bit. Then comes the aspect also of taking refuge. And when we talk about taking refuge in the three jewels, for example, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the community, this is not about taking refuge in a form. That is not the main thing. Also, it's not about a sound or a word or even a feeling. What we're really taking refuge in is the unity of emptiness and compassion. That is the real object of our refuge. And what we're trying to do when we take refuge is to remember these qualities. We, as ordinary sentient beings, are trying to remember the extraordinary qualities of emptiness and compassion that the Buddha has. And then really connect this to an altruistic wish that all sentient beings may benefit and may have happiness and stimulating the sense of genuine care and affection for all beings. And may that arise in myself, may that arise in all other beings. And so if we can generate an intention like that, then whatever activity we do, we're sharing the Dharma, we're listening to the Dharma, we're practicing meditation or any other activity, then it will go extremely well.
세상 지 추전으로 때바이나 강이 독생이 소리 따와 통지 빵위치 담배 춘는 던제베 고담들라 차세로 세 생각줘야 또 반제 남기로스 알레 다산지 좀 된디 동분이 독자와 친구 그거네 심지어 탐지라 아니 가르치고 그러다 다 대화를 놓수 줘 봐.
So the Buddha, the Shakyamuni, the Buddha, then when he began his spiritual quest, he developed a very powerful form of love and care and affection towards all other beings, wishing them to be free of afflictive emotions and suffering. So he said there's a famous teaching, in order to let go of all limited views. So then the teacher of the sublime path that leads to letting go of every type of viewpoint. I bow down then to the ultimate truth. So this is like a praise to the enlightened ones.
So dini kulon number thamba chöchane tangazo ari karse jikwa maybe ninjita jikwa maybe shirap sigdo.
So then, having purified our intention, having purified our motivation, we can turn to the main topic, which is how can we approach fearless compassion and fearless wisdom? So then we have to think, what is it to have these things with fear? So when do we need to have fear? When we have a incorrect or distorted understanding, when we have a distorted view, then we need to have some fear. If we have a distorted conduct, an incorrect or distorted form of behavior, then we should have some fear. The teachings of the Buddha have no preference, no bias whatsoever towards any ethnicity, towards any race, towards any religious tradition or absence of religious tradition. There's a recognition that as human beings, we want to maximize our happiness and avoid pain and suffering. So we may say, I wanna do the dharma. I want to practice the dharma. I'm practicing the dharma. So we may think like that. We may talk like that. But we have to really understand, what is the dharma actually? What is the actual dharma? And the true dharma is connected to dependent origination, the principle of interdependent arising. And that is the way things actually are, the way things actually work, how the good and the negative and the neutral actually come to present themselves.
아주 라이디 줘야지. 그래 줘야래. 이거서 다리 만든 일이지. 그래서 따와 친지로 돼야다. 줘봐 친지로 돼야지. 아니 주주당. 아니 따와 친지 말로 와디. 아니 시럽피도 좀 나와 있는다. 아니 똥바니 나와 있는다. 전다바 나와 있는다. 가래 주와 있는 항달 최탐지지 니루 최탐지지 랑중 내가 아니 따와 친지 말로 차고요래.
So the Tibetan word for dharma, chi, has one very important meaning, which is the meaning of to transform, to change or to transform. So what is it that we need to change or transform? If we have a distorted or incorrect kind of understanding, a distorted or incorrect kind of conduct, that's what needs to be transformed. And so if we were to transform a distorted kind of understanding into a totally genuine and authentic type of understanding, we could also call that genuine type of understanding exceptional insight or wisdom. We could also talk about it in terms of emptiness. We could talk about it in terms of the sublime underlying truth. In any case, whatever term we might use, this refers to the underlying true nature of how things actually are. And this is a view we can come to have.
친지로 라이디 양 가르치는 건지 지고래서나. 아니 양 뭐왜 니치지라. 니치지라. 삼당리마도 로로하지 계신 말했어. 유진다지 계신 말했어. 랑기 심기 진당 친지로 소와이나. 친지로 시디 아니 유코는 랑이 니룩 마토니. 아니 마릭바 슬라기도 마릭바 세나. 아니 뭐에 니치 마토니. 뭐에 니치 마토와 마체. 아니 가르치고로다. 지 텔레 록스 진네. 텔레 록스 남도 지 뭐라. 아니 템바 마트나 템바 지야. 최 탐지니 딘룩스 따대야 되로와. 아니 코란 랑기 그저로 죽라 수수기 죽풍볼라이나 아니 나라네 지 달은 지 여대버스 아니 옌라네 지 가르주다 템버트버스 여대버스 짐바 아티 아니 디니츠응한다 벨로 참모지바 세시치아레스.
So how is it that we can define and identify a distorted or incorrect view? How can we come to know if our view and understanding is indeed incorrect or distorted? This does not involve us focusing on some other object outside of ourselves. This has to do with our own mind. The distortion is occurring in our own mind. The mind's understanding of what it itself is. That's where the distortion is occurring. And so if we do not see what is the actual underlying nature, what is the actual real condition of our own mind, we have to call that a condition of not knowing, of lacking understanding. And so it's not only that we do not recognize the true nature, but on top of that, we cling to an incorrect concept about it as well. And so we concretize a belief or concept that is incorrect about our nature or about the nature of reality in addition. And fundamentally, we do this by taking what is not inherently substantive, what is not inherently real and true, and projecting true and real solid existence onto it. In other words, we concretize it or reify our perception, taking it as true and real. What is not really true and real, we believe it is true and real. And so, for example, towards our own body, which is just this amalgamation, this aggregate, physical aggregate that we have, we believe that it's mine, that it's me and it's mine. And then once that's established, then there is others. And we concretize those perceptions, solidifying them. We develop a very rigid and hard form of grasping and fixation. And this can also go down to the very subtle level as well. There can be very, very subtle levels of fixation also.
Kasi nga so ki zimba nangji ani ji temba truba zi yewa ina ani chi ne ju nang semje samalo wa ji judo roya zoya di ani yongxia yo maris. Zimba nangji zi yo na.
So if things were actually like as concrete and solid as we take them to be, if they were indeed so rigidly fixed and solid in the way that we fixate on them, then the external environment that we have and the living beings like ourselves in this environment, we couldn't change, transform at all. We would be stuck.
Deni ji jikwada ani yurbada lasozi Russia yo marwas tawa di koran temba trip dewaji yesu la mate waji koran suktuba temba trip zo na ani tinju mai ba cha do marwas.
And then but of course it's not the case. Things fall apart. Things are destroyed. Things transform. Everything changes. And so, but if we have this view of that rigidly fixates and concretizes reality as if it was a rigid and fixed entity, then what we're doing is we're denying that, it's as if we're taking form and saying it's not an interdependent phenomena.
Dende ye nga so ye da ji ye de ba de yang kunjo do da yin da zi gi zhe yan jo do da yin da zi gi zhe yan jo do zi yin ba yin na yang nga so kunjo de za chi mo zi zi ya ka le ka wo cha gro was me ka shi dong ye zo ka shi de wa zo ka shi che jung zo ani zi nyok tra ma shi mo zi kunjo ji zhung go na yang nga so kunjo de la yang no ken sa zi ko si bro.
And if interdependence were not the case, and instead we gave that generative power and projected it onto like a creator figure, like an all-powerful God, for example, and said, then that God has the power to create everything. They're in control of everything. If we took that position, then it could lead to some challenging consequences. For example, why does that all-powerful deity cause some people to suffer so much and others to have such ease in their lives? Why do they create so much for some and so little for others? And there's a variety of problems like that that come if we imagine such a being had that kind of power. And then, whatever work we had to engage in, whatever projects we're involved in, or it could be studies, whatever we want to learn and study, if we just say, well, whatever happens is solely in the hands of some kind of all-powerful creative force, and I have no agency on my own side, why would we put effort into anything? We just sit back and relax because it would be up to them.
Ini nyere chwa no la marikpa la ya diye ani debadru lo di tene na so chadang ji ya ani ji dongye rangji ne dewan jin de meda we rangji ne takwan jin chadang ji ya medang we rangji ne zangman jin chadang ji ya di chang ma lo ta me bala ta tu ji ne ani longi je di gi na zuda ji jewa khilini na jewa cherem ta jewa khilini ji me ba nyere chwa na ani di majiwa da manjiwa da ji jo na so ba ji che ne yong de go res.
And so if we held to a position, that kind of perspective, which concretized the true solid existence of everything, which is a form of not knowing, then all of the experiences we have in this life, all of our desires, our greed, all of our the mistaken ways we apprehend things, the things we take to be pleasurable but in fact bring us pain, the things that are actually impermanent but we think they're somehow lasting, the things that are fundamentally kind of unclean but we take them to be clean and desirable. All of this comes down to one key point: things that are fundamentally lack an inherent identity, a solid, independent, inherent identity. We give them that. We believe that they have that kind of identity. And so if we held such a concretizing view, then lifetime after lifetime, we would just have to only experience through that lens. And even if we don't believe in multiple lifetimes, we just believe in this one life. Even then, in this life, right here, whatever unhappiness and struggles we have, we would be stuck with them. There'd be no way out.
Dan jikpa de ha ho na ani chijuro lo tisu di ha ho ro.
So therefore, to really understand fear, I think we really have to understand the distortions in our understanding.
Chijuro lo di ha ho ya la ani shira be ka chen. Chue tham ji tin ju yin che na ani tin ni ju wan yin zang ni ra wa me ba re de ji le ju jian le tin guo yin zi de. De song zang ni tin ju chuan kan yin na ani dong ba ni ngo xi guo de. Dong ni ka ngo xi ba de ga rang la ani tin ju su de yin. Jue da, jiu da, nam ja da, zang yin da. Dong ba ni la li de na jue da, nam ja zang yin de zo ji me ma qin de de ke ji ma de. Ko rang jin gi dong de na de yong su zo ba ye de ba di. Ni ju jian jian le zhe ba. Ju jian cuo le de ni. Ni go chu li chu ri xia ba na ji. Nang ga li jin ti ba na ji. Ko ju zo na zuo zi yong chuo ya zi li. Ge de ba.
And so, in order to understand what a distorted view is, actually, we need to somehow open our prajna, open our wisdom insight from inside of our own mind. And when we open our wisdom insight from inside of our own mind, then we can start to understand this principle of dependent origination, that everything just arises through the matrix of dependent arising. All the good, all that we see is good, all that we see is bad, simply appears when the right causes and conditions are brought together. And if we come to understand that principle of dependent arising, we will also start to understand the principle of emptiness. Because emptiness is dependent arising. It's because of emptiness that dependent arising occurs. And so the fact that causes can lead to results, the fact that good things can manifest, negative things can manifest, all of that is possible because of emptiness. And because of emptiness, things dependently originate. They can arise. And so to see that everything doesn't, it's not that we throw away when we want to approach emptiness. It's not that we somehow leave behind all the causes and all the conditions and all the different complexities. We don't leave it behind. It's precisely those things come out of emptiness. Because of emptiness, those can occur. And so everything only arises from causes and conditions. That is the view we're approaching. And there's no contradiction between the way things arise dependently and their empty nature. It is like clouds resting freely in the sky. It is like water dissolving into water. There is no barrier or contradiction in those views.
아니 동행이 가지고 동행이 싸와 내가 지야기 탑하고 동행이 싸와 내가 지니 이 철발래야 차당이로 용수 속에 시야기 아니 자진 역시디 띵중 참모 내양 치 유제 유 나기 유 유제 닝기야기 유유제 닝기 떡소드지 아니 띵중 참모 남자 시선와이나 아니 가지고 다지 시럽 표도 좋아하시나? 이렇게 자고 있으러.
And so then we can start to talk about an undistorted understanding or an undistorted view, which is also the view of dependent origination. And when we come to understand that more and more, we will start to understand that liberation can be attained. Freedom or liberation is possible to experience. And that the suffering, there is an actual method, and we'll understand the method to reduce suffering. Suffering can be completely reduced, and we'll begin to understand the method that totally reduces our suffering. And this will be connected to our actual felt sense or experience. And we'll understand also the subtle forces of aversion and craving and how they operate within us. This all becomes possible through understanding subtle interdependence. Subtle interdependence understands how so-called outer objects and the so-called inner experiencer interact and what happens when those interactions occur. And so to come to understand subtle interdependence can also be called an exceptional form of wisdom or prajna.
얘네 수수기 샘데 뉴몰리 타르바 탈주 여바즈다 제주 여바즈 하고서나 얘네 니제 전부 쬐발라나메지 남주인 쬐바이나 쬐바 짜침보 펜도 마바 지게여나 샘버정보 여바이나 세신지 간로데야 따와 세신지 간로데야 인자 다 세메바 로거나 아니 타이비 심제 탐지라 아니지 라나메바디 아니지 따와 라나메바디 디기 수수이 아니 쬐바데야 라나메바지 잠바다 제와다 닌지 학섬 나야 디야양 아니 시럽이 잡종 토니로나 라나메바 차와시 시럽 매송와이나 시럽 피도 좋아 매송와이나 잠바다 제와다 닌제다 여나 세신이 거지 주 인지기 아니 배대 양 촉좀 치료하다 양 까브레 여바다 까브레 매와 차루로
So we can also come to understand how each of our own minds can be liberated from our own afflictive emotions and karma. And when that occurs, we start to experience that, then a great compassion will start to shine forth. And then really extraordinary conduct can result from that. Until that occurs, however good our mind is, and we need a good, positive, kind mind, but whatever we have will always be limited. There'll always be a limitation because our view, our understanding is limited, and therefore our conduct will be limited. And it's only when our view becomes limitless, we start to relate to the concept of infinite living beings and the wish to benefit them and remove their suffering. And then combining that intention with a really limitless kind of understanding, and then our conduct, our action in the world can also become limitless. And then love, compassion, these kind of forces can really truly flourish when they're supported by that insight. Without the support of that kind of profound insight, of course we have love and we have compassion, but they will always reach a limit. There will always be a limit in them. They can meet with some conditions and they could be disturbed. Sometimes we'll have love and compassion, sometimes we won't have love and compassion.
이 전화때 야고 하고나 아니 오늘 가지고로 소소라 내봐 숙침부 쉬우지래라 가지 해봐 이치 라야디 아니 참바다 재와다 닌지 주야 되다 시럽 표도 중화다 닌지 표도 중화디기 전화 봐 야고 소소 심란 디송아이나 아니 딜 가지네 그거 아니 되발레기로 와디 제니존.
And so if we can really understand the meaning of this well, then I think that our interest will be stimulated. Our care will be stimulated. Our trust may also be stimulated. Hearing about these kind of exceptional modes of insight and wisdom, exceptional modes of compassion, I think that if it accords with our mind, if it's something that's pleasing to us, then it can really stimulate interest. And this is a really positive thing. And then it's like we can start to truly appreciate what our capacity actually is within ourselves. Because each of us has this capacity within us. Each of us has this power, this capacity within our own being, within our own mind. And to see that it's naturally there and to appreciate it and to respect what we have within ourselves is also a great benefit.
덴데 시럽되다 이제 뒤에 소소 내가 가지 레와 있는 아니 정말로라 내게 나라 있는 데니 시럽다 이제 뒤에 조제네 녀크라리 가르지 여와 있는 세바시시야 닥섬 닌제 아니 제와 딘디지 몰라 넘버 간주로 됐어 땅에 정말로 당들한테 그랬어.
So when we start to experience this kind of insight or wisdom and this kind of care or compassion, then any kind of work we engage in, any kind of project that we engage in, we'll be able to bring forth our insight, bring forth our care and compassion in it. Any kind of problems, struggles, and obstacles that we encounter, we'll be able to bear with them. We'll be able to handle them. And we'll have this upliftedness and courage, a compassion. We will see the manifestation, but we'll also understand the essence. And therefore, whatever problems come up for us, we'll be able to endure them.
아니 검지 자와이나 당진다 진진이나 너그레스 당진다 진진이나 너서와이나 아니 다음에도 그 시럽 제야당 아니 진진지 전주기 쌤데 똑과 디제 유레스.
And then for our meditation practice as well, if we bring these qualities into our practice, then they will diminish our concretization, our habit of fixating on the true solid reality of our perceptions. It will also reduce our self-cherishing, self-centered cherishing. And then our insight and compassion will blossom further and further. And based on those, realization can actually occur.
얘가서 검라 검이 지금 뭐이래 쌤데 검 제야도 딩가서 다 쌤라 강해요로 쌤 흘러라 아니 쌤 미소 보야 아니 쌤나 시대요 치도 검지고요로.
Otherwise, well, there's many forms of meditation out there, and most of the time we get interested in meditation because we may have some problems in our mind. And one approach is to relax in our mind and have kind of a rest, give our mind a rest and find some kind of peaceful place to rest in our mind.
아니 검이 지 잘라되니 검제야 쌤마 시바이 소바 대야 아니 렉샬되니 아니 지 가르조로 죽라되니 아니 드라마다 되니지 종네 저 숨라 라니 되니지 우글라되니 아니 디 리트서 지 당고 쌤마를 자야지 탑마모도 여러봤어.
So there's many kinds of meditation. We can use sound as an object. We can use a sensation in the body as an object. We can use the perception of form as an object. We can observe the arising, remaining, and dissolving of thoughts as a approach to meditation. We can follow our breath. Through all of these different methods or approaches, the mind can start to relax within itself.
지 소와데마 때지 니바 이로바 지레만도 뭔데 시럽 피드 중하다 인지 피드 중하다 지 민주르비 대화줘야지 지지고지 검지 땜바이나 에미시칼에 가버렸어. 인생은 당시의 진지를 디 뇌지가 통말했어.
And generally, we are caught up in, we could say, coarse feelings and sensations, more coarse modes of feeling and sensing. And it's difficult to actually access and induce this exceptional wisdom and exceptional compassion. It's actually very difficult to just kind of seize that and sustain it in our meditation. Why is this? Because we cling very strongly to the sense of self, and we also tend to be self-centeredly cherishing about our sense of self.
세상에 가서 검제도 쌤수 뉴스나네 이니 정화용제 파 심디 팔려잖아네 그바 용제 남도 지용제 디 바르라 타뉴 스네데니 아니지 튼로 저기 레드야지 네 여러와 제장 심디 수미칼라 지 글레스 준 자와 지바이나 고미양 타버요 뭐
So then, things happen like in our mind. We may start to practice meditation and start to get relaxed. But then we get excited about being relaxed. And then that triggers agitation. So then we have agitation arising based on an experience of relaxation. Or perhaps we might experience a very kind of neutral, undifferentiated kind of mind state in our practice. And we may cultivate that. But as it is said in the tradition, what we're really doing there is just cultivating the karmic perception of being an animal. So those two forms of cultivation, if we practice them for long periods of time and really familiarize ourselves with them, are not considered the fully authentic and genuine states of meditation.
Then 뒤 딱와라 아니 검제게 제 아니 그러죠 그렇지. 소와다뇨 저라 그즈 저라 지칼라 샤 이시라 페기도. 그 지당 좀 랑중 normal 라기도 랑중 뭐만데 말이. 그래서 저러지와. 대니 sem 남도 이 징저디 아니 수수기 미리 좋아하노라 강인 상모 젠데 dia chöremedu uzu gyap chena yang ma ni roni ma tibyuni 참말로 디인다 디미 마 티비 ni kunga to dinji kalani lotan dawala nen nambichu izine komdup chibaina kai pendoyo mari tama lokta chen roja riteje
So if we always, practice like that and habituate to those kinds of mind states, we find like a very sort of neutral, numb, undifferentiated state. And we just, this like numb feeling and a neutral mind state. And we just stay there for a long time. We might think, oh, this is great. This is so normal. Well, it's not normal. And if you sustain that, then you might suddenly and unexpectedly, problems that we previously had in our lives will just shoot up and get triggered. And then we might think, oh, no, this isn't really working. What I really need to do is dull myself completely and sink down. And so then we practice another form of meditation that's like sinking into a thick, dull, dimmed state. And then we could spend years there, months there, years cultivating a dimmed state of awareness that's thick and dull. And we might think, wow, yeah, I'm a good Buddhist practitioner, cultivating this dim state for years and years. Well, I don't think actually in the end we'll find that doesn't have any benefit at all. And in fact, it could lead many people to various kinds of wrong views.
검 제거해서라니 니 국시 아니 수수기 빼셔도 되거나 된다 가요 뭐시 켈레 로라스 바레 켈레 롱바 혼체 된다 마시 검 전나 니국 켈레 인디스간에 남도 롱바 혼체 시다랑 되어다 코로랑 검 잡되어라 이 소소라 마페 낭미라 제방이 받고 깔깔 가고 지기로와
So then, if we take that approach, what happens in our own families at that point? We practice in that way, and then we tell our families, I'm a Buddhist meditator. I'm a Buddhist practitioner. In fact, all we're doing is falling asleep when we meditate. And then we read books, we read them happily out loud, and we don't have any idea what the meaning is. No idea at all. The words make no sense to us. And then when we practice meditation, we fall asleep. And then our thoughts swirl up like a hurricane and take us over. We get angry and we totally believe it, sustain the anger. It's as if a state of anger has become our meditation. So if we carry on like that, not only will it not benefit us at all, everyone else around us will think that we're not such a great practitioner.
부드스미나 안 쌤데 자체로 쌤바 남주 롱랑 조조여나 롱마나 마차 자바침부차 남주 닝제 면조 소소 된다 짠냐 랑도 짠냐 줍데니 쌤 부스토고 아니 지수수 민다 땀다 랑지고 마도 진이 매바디 아니 타이 쌤제 탐지라 로바치야 남물로 로바치야 이 자컵로 로바치야 아니 쌤제 상황로 로바치야 쌤 구양보 쌤 장보 쌤 정보지가를 러나 낭바차고요.
So if we really want to follow the Buddhist way, we have to instead make our mind really vast, really open our mind and expand our perspective. And we should see changes. Like if before we were a really irritable person, we had a temper, a sharp temper, then the intensity of our temper should diminish over time, and our patience should be developing. If before we weren't a particularly compassionate person, pretty self-absorbed, only thinking of ourselves, inhabiting a very tight and claustrophobic mind space, over time, we should be feeling more and more just natural concern for others, not just thinking about oneself, thinking about our family, and then our community, our country, the whole world, all sentient beings. Our mind should be trending in that direction. And so basically, through practice, our mind should become very open, very good, and very honest.
잠불링기 출룩 상마지 뜸바지 랍샤 상마 튕기로와 잠불링기 뜸바 상마지 출룩 연수 버드 마티나 요 말이스 낭바.
So you could say that Buddhism, it does not fight with or take issue with any religious tradition, any teacher from any tradition. We have no beef with them.
나도 근조 상마지 미래 로파치 야고치 세마상부치 세 근조 랍샤 디리 잠링기 근조시.
So, all the traditions, the teachers, the gods and perspectives taught in other spiritual traditions, they teach people to be respectful of others, to look out for others, to be kind to others. And this is what we stand for as well. So we're completely harmonious with their teachings. We respect them. We support them.
디디지 제와 시랍다 템비 제와 상부요나 아니 우다 참디 침상다 참디 주고 주모다 참디 네 나사 중앙이나 되니 상말로 제바다 시랍 니지지 안에 상말로 스트로스 찬 아니 셈노라 대화마도 동행들이 용거 말했어 용사요 말했어 아이즈나 짐바 참마 찡와 참 저러와.
And if we can develop this kind of, say, love suffused with insight, genuine care, propelled by wisdom, then whatever suffering we encounter, we'll naturally want to help. Whatever it is, we'll view whoever it is as if they were our own beloved relative, our own child even. We'll relate to them that way and do whatever we can to help. Because our own clinging, our own tightness and limitations will be removed. It's like that which binds us will have been broken open.
랑 독과다 남도 매바 맞지 yin 독과다 남도 이어봤다 채용나 아니 닝지지 서바지 시럽 쌤 코양보 할래 간다지 좋아하는 서서 네 나사 좋아하는자 치료지 가래 좋아하는 상로 아니 시럽다 닝지 디잉하네 아니 남나 챘네 대왕 바지마도 동행이 아니 저때 주르마스 이 메시지 계산치 버리스 이거 그랬어
So not only will we be freed from our own limiting beliefs and concepts and afflictive emotions, but when we encounter limiting beliefs and concepts and afflictive emotions in others, we'll feel tremendous patience, tremendous care and concern for their well-being. And anything we encounter, even sickness and disease in our own body, will not give our mind such a hard time. We'll be able to handle and deal with whatever we have to deal with, any kind of struggle. And really, we could say that it's like going from happiness to happiness. It will only be increasing states of happiness and well-being. And the pain and suffering that we normally are afflicted to will not be part of the picture anymore. So this is an enormous benefit, a great profit that can be had. And I really feel that we need this.
다네 집어 겁나 디리 아니 미 망보냠도 겁나 디리 내가 내 갑라 디리 사마사이 갑라 디리 니 갑라 디리 노인 갑나 디리 네 상월로 아니 시럽피도 중원 인지피도 중원 아니 수수기 님제 뒤주라 저와도 제잖아 되니 가봐도 tum지짐을 고말라 토마토 태성미물 봐 이게 되거든.
So this is what we need to practice with. This is what we need to work with. This is what we need in our relationships. This is what we need when we go around here and there. This is what we need when we stay put. This is what we need in the day. This is what we need at night. This kind of extraordinary insight and extraordinary compassion. And if we keep to this, if we keep close company with this all the time, then there's no doubt that the final result will be our own liberation and our own full awakening.
내 초보시는 데래 닝제모시는 데래 아니 지 카르시나다 딜일 하스 메바도 스레스
This, we could say, is what true wealth is. This is also what true beauty is. And nothing really surpasses this.
나 장세는 데래 나 검세는 데래 동바스 수정송세는 데래 아니 라마라 대바이 지세는 데래 시럽피도 중원 인지피도 중원라 가진지 렘나 참 아니 너브랑 레레바레 아니 너리 너냠시나 아니 디치마도 동해 여말
So the real purpose of reciting mantra is this, actually. The real purpose of visualizing and meditating on the deity is this, actually. The real point of keeping vows and ethical integrity is this, to have genuine faith and trust in a lama or in your teacher comes down to this or points towards this. So this kind of exceptional insight and exceptional compassion, it's like finding a jewel. It's like finding the kind of jewel that only confers happiness and well-being and has no suffering in it at all.
나서 아니 나서 정말로 딱 기체주대 시럽 피도 중 인지 피도 중 나와 있는다 장주기 쌤 양답이 따와 나와 있는다 다디 나서 배전치야 있나 딜이 하스질라 나서라 지 내가부터 다도 용 소발라 딜이 하스 메와드지 임바자 이나양 수수 감다 메바 참베 수수 감 펜바다 감 가와치나 역시 대화랑 인지레
So I think we all need that kind of exceptional insight and exceptional compassion. We could also refer to these using other terms like bodhicitta and the correct or authentic view. And so I think that nothing is really better than this on the temporary level, and nothing is better in the ultimate final level either. So whatever constitution we have, whatever kind of character or personality we might have, we need to, of course, traverse and go according to our own interests and proclivities as well.
Diya ya what's going on? See, she need to pass achim with the chegoinza. Tani tega chuza road zina. Japchim nurumuchi. One tani tisong comes. Yamacheva zachimbu. Indeed, lama cheyundu. And susugi. Yamnechi machis susu debare. Then Yakuti China, that dilly has it. Yamare. Ani, as a samolo gave us a body. Chanduki senda. Tony Dawan, Didiji, Comjo, Tenjoji Mulurumuchi. Tende lama che. And Seji Luigi Sanji, Tanga Chede, Halibi gave us a bodan, Halibi Zachimure, someone just delay.
So, you know, here we are in this wonderful gathering of students, of members of this Tergar community. And you have the incredible good fortune to study with a master like the great protector of beings, Mingyur Rinpoche. This kind of master, this kind of being is extremely hard to find in a time like this in the world. I can honestly say that there's nothing better than that to be found. And so you are all practicing under his guidance. You are all studying the profound topics of bodhicitta and the authentic view. Mingyur Rinpoche is a perfect guide for these topics. He is giving you pith instructions that show you how in one lifetime and in one body, how you can attain liberation and complete awakening. So that is the most extraordinary good fortune you could ever hope to come across. And so I really rejoice in all of your good fortune.
Jirim gomna, zorim gomna, and the Khandro Tseringma Rinpoche, and the Komna Lana Mevach, where the higher your mind, so you did it, Sarah, the Dicola, and G. Nazuki, Yamichi, the Junjonchi, the kitchen boys,
So all of us are motivated by our own happiness and suffering, by our own experiences of pleasure and pain. And so what we need to do is first understand, first come to some kind of understanding of a basic situation, and then listen to teachings, study teachings, reflect on them. And from that, a special kind of understanding will come out of our own process of contemplation. And that will become effortless at some point. And then we have to bring forth the particular kind of wisdom that comes from actual practice and meditation. We have to do that, practicing again and again, bringing what we know into our own experience, into our own being, until that becomes effortless as well. And once that occurs, then whatever path we take to sustain our practice, whether it's a development stage practice of a sadhana based on a deity, or a completion phase practice of sustaining awareness, whatever it is, we have to keep doing it until we reach accomplishment. It's very important that we sustain our practice continuously.
진짜지 돈이 ninji zung난지야. 아니 지 검투바이나 아니 라마 타면비 나와 마임바. 아 돈이 ninji지 라마 이탐 라이데 돈이 ninji 랑당술 샤데바지. 아니 수술래. 장내로 하면 뭐지 인데바지. 소소이 이체인건이나 아니 시럽피도 좋아 ninji피도 좋아하기. 돈이 ninji 랑당질라 아니 지 이치치야다 력이지야 대바지야 줘야 돼. 존재한테 때문에 되지. 되니 코로와다 냥대 줘야 돼. 록스 내가 아니지 준나 탐지 식도리드나 안데 탐하나 답은 맞지 아니 거 내가 뭐지 있으래
And then we can come to see that our teachers are not just ordinary beings, but really are the expression of the unity of emptiness and compassion. That when emptiness and compassion come together, they can also appear in a certain way. And then, our own trust, our own, can start to really deepen based on our own compassion and our own insight. And then seeing what is possible to appear when emptiness and compassion are a unity. And then there'll be a real reason. There'll be our faith, our trust will be grounded in real reason and logic, actually. And we can come to see many profound key points, such as that samsara and nirvana can never be separated, but in fact are an indivisible unity.
라서 디링가서 저링요 저래 디저 그래 네 디저 요치
Okay, so maybe if there's some time left, we could do some question and answer or discussion. I'm not actually sure what time it is. I'm not really a time kind of person.
저링 미서라트나 칠라스티고 저 차디도
Yeah, just do.
디저 가서도
Just the cheeks do.
라스 치즈 시간 라스 도세 제산 다 디인데 맞을 취 지디나라 저디 럽종치 갑라 아니 티모지 시샤지 럽종치 당지도와 갱갱이 오저단세 아니 다 취비거니나 디든 자기미도와 티모이 시샤데 상말로와 아니 잠리 끈지 시샤 짜 치무드즈 갱갱이 럽사네 럽아지 딕사르와 얘네 시사르와 다 취 럽종데 럽사네 대로 양장 셈는 디바치 네 마소기 셈는 디고야 돼 마소라 아니 레 뭐지 딸레 라디다 킬링 요는메나 항다른 가서 대샤다 시당다 디목다 셈 마디바 셈 마지비 로데 콤디지 때는 내가 쉽게 봐 자기가
Well, it seems like we have some more time. So we could also say that, if we think about studying or learning, we also do this in a very general worldly sense. When we get educated, we're always studying or learning. And there's, we have teachers and we learn subjects, and that's also part of our worldly experience. But learning in the dharma context is not the same as learning in a worldly context. If we take a completely worldly subject of knowledge, we find a teacher, we go through the classes, we learn the material, and then that's it. Then we're done. Then we move on. But the dharma is not like that. In dharma study, once we finish learning and understanding and knowing what is being taught, then an entirely another phase begins. What we've learned then has to be familiarized in our own mind's experience. We have to bring it inside our own mind and mix it with our own experience. a whole nother phase occurs. So this happens in all areas. For example, the principle of karmic cause and effect. Well, maybe some accept that idea and some don't. That's fine. But we can all agree that we have desire. We all have aversion. We all have desire in our minds, don't we? And when they occur, our minds are not happy. They're not at peace. When we have desire and aversion in our minds, they're not happy and not at peace. This is just a natural process.
검지 양양 땜바이나 아니지 세바치야 닝지치야 학섬치야 나야디스 참말로 시럽피도 좋은디 에 잡종치니 검지 때나 아니 조포치 가서 디상 에 드럼니시 사이지 바로와 야포 조포 나상 권예지레도 다 쳐놓나 조포 여러분 나상 권예이나 시럽 피도 좋은데 그주시 같이 치고로 디시송아이난데 지 가르주고로다 저발라야다 닌제라야다 학섬라야다 디니 수수기 내가 가리는 자와 가리는지 지투백이 님바다 템바 젠도다 템바 아니 나도 슈빠와 라이도 어디 빼자치 무슨 얘기로 내가 검지 때나 꼬지 양자로 곰 먹어봤다 곰차로 이 쨈미 검지 차서나 디니 지딩기 가르주고 나지 셈님 받아서 늘만 쨈미데 마찬 받을라 아니 무슨 양세 검네 마지바이나지 때서 야고차 양 자와 두자 로파 두자 내가 두자 양도 항상 양 돌아들어져와 이 나스디 쨈미 차요 말이 쨈미 마찬 받을 도나치가 있나 니니 정말 무슨 끄나 팀바 차를 근데 두고지 냠냠도 줘나 미 두자 냠도 채와이나 니니 수수기 서바 대화 홀라 서바 대화 제 투야지 님바도 템부스 찬도죠.
So everything is about being habituated. How much habituation, how much familiarization we have. It all comes down to that. So if we familiarize ourselves with anger, is one thing. We familiarize ourselves with patience, with compassion, with a kind of dignified, elevated mind state. It's another thing. If we're cultivating and familiarizing with insight and compassion, this really comes back and protects us, actually. Here we are in the 21st century. In the 21st century, we want everything to be fast, really good and really fast. And we want it now. But in the Dharma, if we want something fast and good, well, we really need to open our wisdom mind. If we want it fast and good, if we want patience, if we want compassion, if we want an elevated, dignified mind state, then anything we're engaging in, any kind of work, any kind of project, will have this power, will have this capacity, will have an ability. Ability is so important to do anything we want. And again, we have to familiarize with it again and again and again until it becomes effortless. That's the only way. Otherwise, if we don't go far enough, let's say we make our mind a little bit good, and then we go hang out with some rough friends, get ourselves into some questionable situations, do some questionable things, we'll lose whatever patience and compassion and insight that we had gained because it wasn't stable and it didn't become effortless yet. It'll just crash down. And so what we need to do is keep training it until it becomes effortless. And when it reaches that point, then even if we associate with all kinds of dubious people, the effect in our experience will have only happiness. And not only that, through interacting with us, they will also be able to find more and more happiness. So that's the level we have to take this.
얘는 쌤라스 dom잖아. 아니 미쳤다비. 아니 거르이 쌤지. 아니 미쳤다비. 시럽피도 좋아, 인지피도 좋아지. 탑시지 남. 아니 미쳤다비 산지지 공방. 덴데지기 나네. 검수나 쌤데데네. 지 그러죠. 다 라나메비지. 아니지. 땀발라바이나자. 세발라바이나자. nimbalamnda chimbalana 용 친대와 라나 따와주니 아니지 다 쇼트 매고 쇼트로이 도바매고 치토빙이 도바매고 이제 아니 따와라는 매 아니 제발라만 러는 매 아니 끌라 장보 아니 팀빙아 저와 팀빙 끌라 이시 라나 이시 옌라 이시 인데기 니스가네 님발라나네 아니 저바 대반 바식 나 딜을 하세요 나 딜가서 공공도 알아
Awesome. So when we practice meditation, then towards all sentient beings who are circling and wandering in this state of confusion that we call samsara, then we can see that the path is the path of wisdom, the path of compassion, path of insight and compassion. And so we could say that towards the dreamlike or mirage-like sentient beings, we follow this dreamlike or mirage-like path of wisdom and compassion. And the result is a dreamlike or mirage-like state of awakening or Buddhahood. And this is all, this is an unsurpassable approach. And so our teacher, the enlightened ones, are unsurpassable. And that means that love becomes unsurpassable, power or capacity becomes unsurpassable, and wisdom, knowing, becomes also unsurpassable. And so what does that mean? It means that whatever understanding we arrive at, our view, so to speak, can no longer be lost. We cannot lose the view anymore, which means that whatever occurs, whatever anyone says to us, whatever happens, no doubt will shake us. It also means that we will not have any hope to get anything. We don't need to get anything from anyone either. So that is what it means to have a view that is unsurpassable. And our love as well will become very honest to everyone. And in our actions and our projects, we'll be able to really trust ourselves and really trust others as well. And so if we can mix these qualities with our own experience, with our own felt sense, I think that's how we need to meditate, isn't it?
나서 렌데기 니스가네 냥네지 치시는데 시템바니 안람 탑시니 제부 꾸니 디기 니스데 강레도 하고 공바지 아니 공냥네지 차서 와이나 그래서 할래비 자치 못 찾으러.
So if we can practice in this kind of manner, then essentially what we're doing is we're taking our ground, a foundation to be the two truths. We're taking the path to be skillful means and wisdom. And we're taking the result as the two kayas, the dharma kaya and the form kayas. And so practicing within this framework becomes a very precious kind of practice.
그래서 아니 딘데기 다 전주기 센다 돈이 다와 드롤링 델라티니 소남 마수지 친구들이 대야 다 산지 좀 그도 템발라 아니지 템바니데 미네즈에 벤진 집을 탐바 라르베리 되니 비상말로 잠블링기라 아니지 니무 투즈 마요와 아니 산지 템바 이나다 아니 잠블링 펜토바지 템바 템바 상말로 받침이 되네 아니 이름보 내야 미상말로 아니 체리 내메 짜시 전주가 용야 잠블링 몽두 목에 마요와 아들이 나서 말람 제로나 전주리 샘을 묻힌 줄제야 아니 지양답이 따와 줄제네 아니 재미지 남라 좀 시디라 용토베지 마서 말람이나다 내가 있는다 미시 하마 있는다 네가 쥐트는 제바이나 아니 사람도 깨와 된거래 나서 도시들래.
Okay, so I'd like to now offer a sort of a dedication and aspiration prayer. And so based on this kind of discussion that we've been having, based on sharing on these really beautiful topics of emptiness and compassion, then may those who hold the precious teachings live long. May those who protect beings, may their lives also last for a long time. May those who serve others, may all the teachers and all the teachings that benefit beings in any way, may there be no obstacle to the good intentions of others. May they remain for a very long time. The teachers, the teachings, all those who uphold them, all those who work for the benefit of others. And may there be auspiciousness. May all the conflict and hunger and illnesses that afflict this world be pacified. May the earth regain a state of balance. And may the precious bodhicitta and the authentic views spread far and wide, because they can serve as a basis for genuine peace and happiness in the world. And so please dedicate and make aspirations in this way. And whether we're making aspirations or whether we're actually doing things to support this in the world, both are a source of great merit and great virtue. So thank you all very much.
One Pundo Keparation, Tagi to Song Kawan, Randun Jimmy Maluva, Season Semje Malu, Sanjin Tobi, Junjuru, J, Pama Semjen Dam, Nedan Dinjur, J, Nendo Tamji, Tato Tuan, Kenju Zamba, Kama Sujo, Neda Kunji Malam Joji. Jawa Gundo Yanda Lama Dan Jimi Chuche Pela Longju Sada Lamji Yande Razon Doje Changi Komba Nyurdo.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for your kindness.